Laying some 200 kilometers to the west of the Italian mainland, the island of Sardinia is the second largest island in the Mediterranean. Its glorious sandy beaches, 2,000 kilometers of coastline, and spectacular mountainous interior have made it a perennial hotspot for tourists. But every now and again, the weather just isn't on your side.
So Sardinia is typically known for its amazing beaches and hot weather, but today hasn't turned out quite like that. So instead, I'm going to do a bit of a road trip and travel across the length of the island just to see what's on store.
Just because the conditions aren't what you expected doesn't mean that your trip is a disaster. I'm in the southern city of Cagliari, where I've joined a tour bus heading north to the city of Olbia. My plan is to take in some of the local villages that probably don't get visited that often, in an attempt to better understand the real culture of this Italian island.
I'm pretty sure the weather's getting worse.
And hopefully the weather will brighten up as I go. My first stop on this little adventure is the village of Sadara, a quaint little community that for the most part is devoid of tourists. Street art decorates the walls of some buildings here, but you get a general peaceful vibe. Despite being a small village, it does boast its own museum and historical centre.
Oh, welcome to Sardara. We are now in the Archaeological Museum that have two floors about objects from Nuragic period, Roman period, and medieval period. We are now in the medieval room. We have objects found in Monreal Castle, that the castle you can see near the village of Sardara.
Sardinia is one of the most geologically ancient bodies of land in Europe, and has had signs of habitation since ancient times, as is proved by the wealth of archaeological artefacts to be found here. Therefore, it makes total sense that a small, out-of-the-way village would have a museum filled with such treasures. I'm pretty sure they aren't real skeletons. Outside of the museum, there is even an excavation site that you can visit. For such a small village, the museum is quite modern and clearly of a high standard. I actually found it far more engaging than I was expecting.
There are Nuragic village inside the town with sacred wells, with the water that arrive from many sources in the village, and it's very important for our inhabitants of Sardara because it's the center of the village. There are our roots.
Okay, so I've kind of snuck in here. This is the Divine Well. We're not supposed to go back here, but I asked the guy and he said it was okay. So I thought I'd have a quick look. I'm not allowed to go in, but apparently very spiritual.
Oh, you can see 28 nuraghe, that the building, the circular building with in the town, and Nuragic village inside, the museum and the church, Beata Vergine Assunta, San Gregorio, Sant'Antonio, and Santa Anastasia. Santa Anastasia is near the village, the Nuragic village.
On the outskirts of the village, on our way to lunch, we made a quick stop at a new development for a natural thermal spring and amphitheatre.
Wow, yeah, that's quite hot.
Lunch was waiting in the next village, Sardegna, at the aptly named Albergo Ristorante Sardegna. It's a family-run business that has been passed down the generations, serving delicious, typical Italian cuisine, just like Mama used to make. The current owner is Maria Rita.
My grandmother started this job in 1927, and we went on with great satisfaction, serving a meal which goes back to our tradition. We make pasta by ourselves. I make ravioli with using fresh pecorino cheese with spinach and using our tartufo, which is produced in our countryside. Our dessert also is our seadas, made always with pecorino cheese, because we are shepherds, so we use pecorino cheese from the beginning of the meal to the end. I say that we are not rich, but we are rich in healthiness, in good meal, in good productions of our countryside, and we hope to go on with this in this way.
The food truly was mouth-watering, and my newfound friends from the tour were great company. I think there must be something in the air. After lunch, we continued along the road to the next village, Laconi. Similar to Sadara, Laconi also has its own museum, this time with very different artifacts on display. And the pride of this museum is a collection of over 40 monoliths, also known as menhirs, that date back to the pre-Nuragic age, some of which are quite big. There are both proto-anthropomorphic and anthropomorphic menhirs, or male and female statues to you and I.
Looking at the incision, we can divide the menhir in female and male. This is a male, and this is the face of man.
The village itself is not as modern as Sadara, with many of the structures dating back hundreds of years. Look out for Laconi's hidden gems too. St. Ignazio House, for example, is a small Catholic shrine that a little old nun comes out and opens for guests. It's small, but I found it a very moving place. As night descends, I head to my hotel for some well-earned rest. Hotel Sandalia. The hotel had decided to mirror some of the local attractions by also having artifacts on display throughout the main public areas. Interesting. My room was a comfortable size, and after a long day sitting on the bus, I was ready to stretch out in bed. As much as I was looking forward to resting, the travelling had also made me hungry. Tonight's dinner venue would have some surprises in store for me. Monte Blue restaurant is very bespoke, with a shop of knickknacks on the ground floor and a gourmet restaurant above. As I enjoyed the amazingly weird and wonderful cuisine, I came across something interesting. It was weird, but crunchy.
Some cow brains. Cow brains? Is it cow brains? Cow brains. That's being crispified. So this is it. This is it. Right? This is cow brains. And the cow brains. I feel more intelligent already.
As morning arrives in the beautiful village of Nuoro, the sun is starting to make a welcome appearance. There's no time to waste though, as we hit the road, heading towards the village of Oliena. Oliena is close to the Gennargentu National Park, and is a small but stunning historic community. It's in a little more disrepair than the other villages I've been to. I for one don't mind it. It adds character and makes this village stand out.
We are in the mainland of Sardinia, in the area that we call Barbagia, and this town is Oliena. Oliena has a beautiful main center, very old houses and churches dating to medieval times, to Middle Ages, There's a beautiful landscape, a beautiful mountain, limestone mountains like Dolomites, beautiful springs, nice people, good wine.
It also has some really interesting stories, and there is nothing quite like a story involving a little old lady shooting a gun in the air.
Easter time we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. It's the moment when the Holy Virgin and Jesus meet at Piazza Santa Maria down there, and they're followed by a long procession. People is all dressed with traditional dresses, and at the precise moment when the Virgin is unveiled and you see her face, all the people from the balconies shoot. There are some people shooting from, and you hear poo 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 like that to celebrate. And that woman, she every Easter she shoot from her balcony, and she remembered for that because she was one of the few women who did that.
Oh my God, the rain has stopped, the sun is out, there's blue skies. It's finally sunshine and blue skies here in Sardinia.
Olena's character, like the sun, keeps shining through. Next on my tour is a quaint little church.
This is one of the oldest churches in Oliena. It dated to 1400 more or less, and it was built on a previous church. The name is Santa Croce, Saint Crucifix. And here the Catholic Church found the first confraternity, which was a religious group meant to moralize people, to Christianize people, to involve people in religious activities. In Oliena, we were not good Catholics. They practiced cohabitation out of marriage, sons out of marriage, and so they found these confraternities. That's how they called this group of people, lay people, together with priests. They invited people to practice religion, and they organized religious activities.
There are also some amazing little shops to be found here, some of them even of designer quality.
Now we're going to visit Franco, the man who makes shoes, bags, belts, on the money works the leather. He's an artist of leather. And his wife has a bed and breakfast here at the Lemon Garden. Very nice house.
Frank's leather designs are everything you would expect from Italian leather craftsmen. The quality, effort, and eye for detail is second to none. And if my bank account were bigger, I'd have walked out with new boots, new belt, and a new wallet. Moving on, the next stop is the village of Galtelli.
I'm Ilaria, and I'm from Galtelli, the name of the town. And Galtelli is a town in Sardinia on the east coast. It's a very old town. In the past, the Galtelli was the place of the bishop, so it had a very important role in Sardinia. Sardinia was divided in 4 areas, and Galtelli and Olbia, the town of Olbia now, were very, very important. This is the St. Peter Church, and this was the place where the bishop used to stay. And in the past, actually, there are 2 churches. The oldest was built in the 11th century. The other one in 1450, more or less, in the Middle Age. Anyway, the one is Romanic and wasn't finished. So in the oldest church in 1990, where some frescoes were discovered. So the municipality decided to restore the frescoes that are very, very important because they are linked to the frescoes in the Basilica di San Pietro in Rome, so the St. Peter Church in Rome. We have a project. We had an idea like 4 years ago we want to realize a museum here in Galtelli where people can be linked to our oral culture. And now we want the people who come to Galtelli to be linked to our traditions, oral tradition, like stories from the past, how people used to live here in Galtelli like in 80 or 90 years ago. Maybe all the magic traditions we have now, and we don't know from where they come. We want to discover all that, and we are trying to get the people who come to Galtelli to get involved in this.
They even have a spot dedicated to Nobel Prize winner Grazia Deledda.
The town decided to dedicate this monument to Grazia Deledda because for the 80 years from the Nobel Prize and 90 years from her death. She died in 1936, so 10 years after the Nobel Prize.
As night falls, we take another pit stop, this time in Olbia, at the 4-star hotel Panorama.
Amazing. And that's what it's like coming to a lovely 4-star hotel.
Although my journey was supposed to end in Olbia, I have been told that just down the road is the coastal fortress city of Castelsardo. And apparently, it's a place I just have to see.
Alright, so we're on the road from Olbia to Castelsardo, and we've just taken a quick stop off to check out Elephant Rock, for obvious reasons. This is a natural formation just formed by the wind, hitting a rock on the road. How cool is that? And of course, the stunning scenery. Amazing. Definitely worth a stop off.
The story goes that this rock broke off and rolled down the valley, ending up in this very spot, where erosion has randomly created what I certainly see as an elephant. The power of Mother Nature and a little bit of imagination. Love it. Back on the road, we are soon treated to the first stunning view of this historic town. Located on the northern coast of Sardinia, the old town is fortified with an impressive castle. It's also blessed with a magnificent cathedral, and its position right on the coast just enhances its picturesque qualities. The old streets are filled with attractive restaurants and shops selling all kinds of Sardinian handicrafts. But I'm a man with one focus in mind. I want to see the castle. The Castello di Doria was built in 1102 by the Doria family of Genoa, and the town then gradually formed around it. Despite its forbidding defences, unbelievably, the Aragonese still managed to conquer it in the 15th century and renamed it Castello Aragonese.
We are here on the terrace of the Castello di Castelsardo. It's a stronghold. It was built in 1250, and from here you can see the whole northwest coast of Sardinia, starting from Asinara Island to l'Isola Rossa, Santa Teresa. Here in Castelsardo we have a lot of history, beautiful landscape, and everyone, a tourist, wants to see, starting from history, religious history, to churches, many religious events. Then inside of this castle we have also a basket weaving museum. It's very important for us because it's the symbol of our traditional identity. There you can see handicrafts from Castelsardo, the baskets, but not only from Castelsardo, from all Sardinia and all the Mediterranean basin, because we have also handicrafts from the north coast of Africa. Still nowadays, walking around the historical center, the old city center, you can see women weaving these baskets. In the past, they were used for bread making, flour preparing, and contain all kind of cloths, bread, pasta, and sweets, and so on. They were very important for the society of the past.
I could spend a lot of time here exploring, as around every corner is something new to see. Weaving through the streets, I made my way to the cathedral, where there are even more treasures to be seen, and a fascinating crypt.
In 1503, Castelsardo became the seat of a bishop's seat, cathedral. And inside we have a very important religious museum where you can see silvers and painting, very important paintings from the church. And we have also St. Mary's Church, where you can see one of the oldest crosses of Sardinia. And it's also the church of the Confraternita di Castelsardo, a brother band. And it is very important for the Lunisanti feast. It's a Holy Monday. It's the Monday after Easter. In Castelsardo, we celebrate the Holy Monday in order for the Passion of Christ.
It's an amazing end to a wonderful sightseeing trip across Sardinia. I've discovered so much, and while I'm sure I would have had loads of fun on the beach in the sun, the rain provided a great new opportunity, and one that I can't wait to enjoy again.